What's the best weapon to have when the zombies take over the world? We'll answer that question today. Hi folks, welcome to the channel. So let's talk about weapons. Specifically, what would be the best weapon to wield when the shotgun runs out of ammo? Well, first off, you don't want to run around the countryside waving your shotgun like a fool. It's loud. It's going to attract unwanted attention from all kinds of people, including the living and the dead. The best weapon, any weapon, is going to be one that you can use silently and still get the job done. And when it comes to silencers for shotguns, they are expensive and they are complicated and they might not even work. So let's start at the beginning with the most basic of all weapons, the baseball bat. It's a great way to start because it's lightweight. It doesn't make much noise when you swing it, and it is something that you can carry on your person just about anywhere. In fact, if you put some duct tape around the handle, you could probably hit someone over the head with this while wearing a backpack without even realizing it. That being said, it's not going to last forever. There is only so many times that you can smash someone over the head with a wooden bat before it breaks into kindling. Plus, there's gonna come a time where you just need something a little bit sharper. On the plus side, though, bats are cheap, you can buy them in bulk, and you can craft plenty of improvised weapons from scraps of wood. A sturdy piece of wood that has been sharpened at both ends is an excellent spear to have when the shotgun runs out of ammo. The next weapon on our list is also fairly silent, the machete. Now, machetes are better for brush clearing than anything else, but they are still very effective at dispatching zombies. They re-sharp and they re-pointy, and they re-very difficult for a reanimated corpse to deflect or block. If you plan on keeping your machete for a long time, then consider getting a high-quality one with a razor-sharp edge. But if you're just going to be using it for a few months, then you may want to save your money and get a cheaper one. As long as it has a sharp edge, it'll do fine. And speaking of sharp edges, how about a crowbar? Crowbars are silent and they re-reliable and they re-essentially unlimited because you can make them out of scrap metal. Also, since they're solid metal, they're not going to break like a baseball bat. In fact, you can use them over and over again until you wear the sharp edge down to a dull edge. At which point you can either replace it or sharpen the old one. Just remember though, it's heavy. Not everyone can carry one around. Next up is the katana. Some people call them Japanese swords, but technically a katana is more like a short saber with a curved edge. These things are deadly against human opponents, but they're also great for dispatching zombies. The only problem with blades is that they're one use and they're fairly loud. It takes a lot of force to slice through bone and sinew, and that force produces a lot of noise. Blades are best used for close-range engagements when the shotgun runs out of ammo and you need something sharp to finish off the horde. Speaking of sharp and pointy, have you ever thought about carrying an axe? An axe is another weapon that's excellent for close-range use, although it is a bit awkward to wield in tight spaces. An axe thrower, on the other hand, is exceptionally useful because it allows you to engage targets at a distance. Plus, it's quiet. No one's going to hear you coming unless you hit the target. And if you happen to miss, well, the axe is still stuck in the tree and you can retrieve it later. But an axe is nothing compared to a spear. A spear is the ultimate close-range weapon. It's sharp, it's pointy, it's quiet, and it's easy to reload. In fact, it is easier to reload a spear than it is to reload a shotgun because all you have to do is pull out the old spear and stick in a new one. Plus, spears are good for hunting animals and they're even better for fishing. If you want something that works well at a medium range, then try a crossbow. Crossbows are almost silent, they have reusable ammunition, and they're incredibly accurate. The only downside is that they can be complicated. You have to learn how to use them properly, and that can take a long time. Plus, if you're not careful, they can actually break your shoulder. But if crossbows aren't quiet enough for you, then maybe you should try a bow and arrow. Bows and arrows are absolutely quiet, they're reusable, and they're extremely accurate. The only problem is they're extremely difficult to master. It takes years of practice to become proficient with a bow and arrow, and you're probably not going to become an expert archer overnight. That being said, if you spend a few hours practicing, you should be able to hit a target at least some of the time. If you want something with a little bit more then try a shotgun, a pistol, or a rifle. Firearms are powerful, but they're extremely loud and they're extremely dangerous. The noise will attract unwanted attention, and the recoil could cause you to miss your target. If you do use a gun, make sure you know what you're doing. Make sure you know how to hold it, how to shoot it, and above all, make sure you know where your rounds are going to go. Headshots are the way to go here. Try to aim for the brain stem because it only takes about 2 seconds for a bullet to pass through the entire nervous system. Of course, this assumes that you have a bullet that will penetrate the skull. Birdshot isn't going to do much, but a hollow point will go through a skull with relative ease. Another thing to keep in mind is that guns have limited ammunition and reloading is extremely time-consuming. The average rate of fire for a skilled shooter is about 3 rounds per second. Well, a magazine holds about 30 rounds, meaning that you can fire your gun for about 10 seconds before you have to stop and reload. Of course, if you have a flair for the dramatic, then you could carry a Molotov cocktail. Molotovs are unlimited and they're extremely versatile. Not only can you use them to burn down buildings, but you can also use them to clear out rooms full of zombies. The only problem is they're not exactly precise. You're going to need a clear line of sight because otherwise you're just setting yourself up for an early demise. Now, one weapon that a lot of people overlook is a simple knife. It may not seem like much, but if you have a fixed blade knife with a gut hook, it makes quick work of dispatching zombies. Also, if you know how to use it properly, you can use a knife to defend yourself against human opponents as well. For that reason, I recommend carrying a knife with you at all times. And when the shotgun runs out of ammo, the knife becomes your primary weapon. There's a lot of other weapons that I haven't mentioned yet. There's mace, there's pepper spray, there's stun guns, there's tasers, and there's homemade pipe bombs. But I think the best weapon to carry when the shotgun runs out of ammo is a multi-tool. A multi-tool gives you several implements in one package, and when you run out of shotgun ammo, you're going to need every advantage that you can get. Flashlights are another good option. They're small and they're lightweight. They're easy to carry and they're easy to use. However, I recommend getting one that has a spike on the end because it makes a great improvised weapon. And if you're really worried about attracting attention, then consider getting a fire axe. Fire axes are loud and they're powerful. They're solid metal and they're extremely useful when the shotgun runs out of ammo. In the end, the best weapon to carry is going to depend on your personal preferences and physical capabilities. Some weapons are better for close range and others are better for long range. Some weapons are louder than others and some weapons are more reusable than others. That being said, my personal preference is to carry one melee weapon and one ranged weapon. The melee weapon is for close-range encounters, and the ranged weapon is for everything else. As always, stay quiet, conserve your ammo, and aim for the head. That's all for now. What would you choose when the shotgun runs out of ammo? Comment below. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up.